Now let's render this list of data in our app. To render them, first we need to store this data in our state. And to store the data in local state, we use a hook called useStateHook. So first, let's declare a hook here. Const an array equals to useState. And we're gonna initialize it with empty array. And we're gonna put here BuckList and set BuckList. BuckList to get the BuckList. Set BuckList to set the data inside this BuckList, okay? And inside this function, we're gonna set our state to be response.data here and press save. Now when we fire this function, when we press on this button, we're gonna store this response.data here. This data here, we're gonna store it inside this BuckList variable. Okay, now let's press on getList box. And now let's try to log this BuckList here. So let's create log here and type here BuckList and here BuckList. And let's clear the log here and press save. Look, now we've stored our data that we've got from the backend. We stored it inside this variable, this BuckList variable, using set BuckList. Okay. Now we get here an array and our app can get access to it because this array inside the state, we want to map this array and render something. To do this, we can use our wonderful component FlatList. So we're gonna type here FlatList and pass the main three properties of it. Don't forget to import FlatList from React Native. Okay. Now our FlatList first property is the data, and the data is gonna be the BuckList, the array of bucks. We're gonna put it here. The first property is key extractor, a unique key for each item. So we're gonna pass an item here and make item.id.toString. Item.id from the buck, because each buck has a unique ID. And I think it's already string, so we don't need this method here because it's already string. Third property is the render item property. And our render item, as you've learned before, is the UI component that you're gonna render here. Later we're gonna use the book component and we're gonna style it and make it a good component. But for now, let's render just a text. Okay, so let's just render a text. And inside this text, we can use any property that you want. For example, let's render the email of the seller, or let's render the name of author. So that's the name of author. So to render it, we're gonna first destruct the item and put inside the text item dot name of author and press save. Now we got, look what happens here. We got a list of name authors. We can add another text. Let's add another text. But first we need to wrap those texts inside a view. Okay. Let's add another text and let's make it item dot, for example, price. I want to mention something. When I type price, nothing appears here. Why? Because the key is not price. The key here is price of buck. So you have to make sure that you put the exact key from the backend. I mean the key of the backend that he sent to you in the response body. Okay, that's the body. So let's copy this price of buck and paste it here and press save. Look, now you can see here the number. Those numbers are too big, but it doesn't matter. It's just a dummy data. let's render the image. So let's import image component, and inside it we have to make sure that is imported from React Native. Image, and the source of it is gonna be URI, and is gonna be the cover. Key here is cover, so we're gonna put item dot cover and press save. Nothing appear here because our image need width and height, so let's add a style to it. Style, let's add height 150 and width 150 as well, and press save. Now you can see the images. So that's the response from the backend. If you open our mock API, here's the project. Those are 7 POCs. If you open them, you're gonna notice that we fetch the same data. For example, the first one here, name of author is Raoul Lipsak, and here's also Raoul Lipsak. The price of POC is 99,913. Here also 99,913. So let's just recap what we've done here. First, we've initialized a user state hook with an empty array. Okay. Then we've stored our endpoint inside a variable. Then we've created a function that's responsible for getting the data from the backend, from the database. And we get the response and set our app state, I mean the POC list. We've set it using set POC list and store our response.data that's coming from the backend, from the API. We've stored this response.data inside the POC list. Then we've created here our FlatList. This FlatList is a component to loop the array and render something. And we've looped our array, our API here. We've looped it and we've rendered each item of them. Created ad, name of author, cover, price of POC, best email of seller. There's an issue with this API. We forgot to add the name of the POC. We're gonna fix it later, don't worry.